Hello, yes, it's Salah Nasri here, and yes, I have a special announcement. The game of chips has just hit 5,000 orders on Amazon. Thank you to everyone who placed the order. The book was just released in December, so I'm very, very grateful and surprised to date. If you are someone who is intrigued, curious about how the semiconductor ecosystem works from beginning to where we are right now, this book was written with you in mind. So order it, read it, and it is pretty much a handbook of the whole ecosystem. In the meantime, enjoy the next episode and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. A piece of advice you wish you had heard earlier in your career.
And the timing is complex, but our key capability is to understand technical changes and the ability to companies to put these technical changes in operation. When you're entering volume production, then the prices are decreasing, but the prices are decreasing always faster than you expect. Be faster compared to what you are expecting. But the landing will be really hard because it's not growing of the market, it's growing of the price.
Jean-Christophe Eloy, president and founder of Yole Group.
He advises leaders at the highest level of the semiconductor industry, where timing defines winners, and decisions shape entire markets.
We have been right many times in terms of technology introduction. We have been wrong many times in the schedule of that. But the timing of that is always very tricky because it can move very fast at one point. It's fragmented because of the technology, because of the supply chain, because of the geopolitics. You need to understand the behavior of the companies, and the behavior in the companies is related to the behavior of the management and the top management of the company. I think one of the things that is always the most complicated is work with the right people. At the end of the day, it's not companies that are solving problems, it's people. Having the right customers, the right suppliers, and the right persons inside your company is really key. This industry is based on money, technology, equipment, materials, and so on, and people. And people is starting to be a huge bottleneck at the moment.
A prediction you made that you wish had been wrong.
You have to catch up and be able to make profit out of that.
Hello, and welcome back to the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Salah Nasri, and yes, whether you are a semiconductor veteran or someone who's just curious about semiconductor manufacturing, this is your podcast. As always, I have a very small favor to ask you all. It takes a village to raise a chip, and it takes subscribers to raise a podcast. So please do me that favor and hit that subscribe button, and also share it. Share it to your friends, share it to your colleagues. Sharing is caring, as they say. So please do share it out. It's been a remarkable year. We've surpassed 200,000 views, thousands of subscribers across Spotify and YouTube. And I sincerely appreciate everyone that listens to this podcast. And together, of course, we will proliferate and promote the semiconductor community and the industry to the world as it sincerely deserves the attention. Now, without further ado, it is with great pleasure to welcome an absolute legend in the market research world, a very, very well-known name. And if you're new to semiconductors, the best way to learn about the industry is either you buy my book, The Game of Chips, or if you want to go even deeper, you get the reports from this person's company. And it's none other than Yole Development's CEO, JC Eloy. Yes, JC is in the building. JC, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Well, thank you for the introduction. Yeah, pleasure to be able to discuss with you.
Yeah. I mean, JC, it has been an absolute remarkable journey you've been on. I mean, I came into the industry in 2010, and I heard of Yole briefly, but in such a short amount of time, because my specialty was in the advanced packaging field, as one would say, the term household name, your company became a household name in the semiconductor industry so fast and so quick. Would you say that it was the advanced packaging and MEMS sensors community that helped you get that presence that you have or that you had then?
Yes, in fact, it was many MEMS.
MEMS.
Yeah,
Okay.
we started really on the MEMS business, understanding the trends related to these sensors. But what happens a long time ago is that the MEMS technologies that have been used in order to make deep trench, in order to have bonding, for example, of wafer to wafer and so on, step by step, move to advanced packaging, but also power electronics and photonics and so on and so on. And we have followed the MEMS technology spreading across the industry up to being used now for HBM, so for stacking of memory, being used for chiplet technologies and so on and so on. So we're coming from the MEMS business, but understanding the way these technologies are behaving and are used in other devices, we're covering now all the semiconductor industry.
So, yeah, it's remarkable that you mentioned that, because even when I recall back in our business, we started too from the MEMS community. I think that's how we do. Yes, that's how we got the attention of Yole initially. And then, what's quite remarkable about the MEMS and sensors initiative that we started on, that propelled us to go into advanced packaging. And from advanced packaging, it propelled us to go into power semiconductors, and that propelled us to go into the silicon photonics co-package optics world. Do you feel that maybe we were on the same kind of path in a different way, would you say?
No,
Was that the same kind of journey?
Exactly the same path. It's different services that you are providing, we are providing, but it's exactly the same path. What is very interesting in this industry is that you have worlds that seems to be different. So processing and GPU is different from memory, different for other type of devices, but the technologies and the manufacturing capabilities that are at the heart of these developments are quite the same. And MEMS and advanced packaging have really contributed a lot in the last 10 years, 15 years to the evolution of these devices. And this is this heart of technical capabilities that have spread across multiple industries, multiple devices that are now, making what we are. That means covering all the semiconductor business and looking at the evolution related to AI, to memory, to processors, and so on and so on.
So here's my next question, which I'm sure many are going to ponder, JC. You don't have to be a state-of-the-art physician or physics specialist or space astronaut to realize that the name Yole has a similarity to your last name to an extent. How did the name come? Can you share the story how Yole development, or just Yole as a company, came into reality?
Well, I created the company in 98, so 28 years ago, and had to find a name, in fact. And when I started with a lot of customers, and I was alone. And so I was really working day and night, weekends, all the time to support my customers. And the Yole in French and in English, it's a small boat you are rowing. And in fact, it was fun because I was rowing a lot to support my customers and working. And then I said, okay, it's the name of the company. So Yole Development and now Yole Group has been created with this idea saying, okay, you have to support your customers. And this is the only way to drive your business and to grow your activity.
But I'm intrigued to know exactly how the name Yole came to place. Because if correct me, so your name is, your last name is Eloy, right? So it's reversed.
Yes.
How did that come into play?
Well, I created the company 2nd of January. And
2nd of January in 1998.
Yes. Okay. And we had a big party with friends for the night of the 31st of December to the 1st of January. And at 9-10 o'clock in the morning of the 1st of January, the name came in after one night of discussion with friends. So it was fun. It was really fun.
Well, so you were just, of course, you were just there and you just said, let me just reverse it.
No, we were experiencing multiple names, having little bit alcohol also helping to be creative. And at the end of the day, one of my friends said, you're working like hell. You are in a boat. So, Eloy reverse is a Yole. Well, that's a good name. And said, okay, let's move on. I tested that Yole is not any insults or bad words in any language, and it's the case. And so I move forward.
Wow, remarkable. What made you start? How did you get into this? How did it?
Well, I've ever been in this semiconductor industry. I'm a microelectronic engineer. I've done an MBA after that. And I've started at Leti creating the marketing department long time ago, more than 30 years ago. So I really started my career in this semiconductor industry, looking at markets for R&D programs that were developed at Leti. Then I moved to Ernst & Young, creating the semiconductor practice for Europe for them, and then created Yole Development, now Yole Group. So I've ever been in this industry.
Wow. JC, I want to play a quick game with you before we go into the deep depths of the podcast. I want to practice a rapid fire question round, whereby I ask you a question and you can simply answer in this most simplest form as possible, just so the audience get to know who you are and who is JC Eloy at the end of the day. So let's start it off. So the first thing is, what's the first word that comes to mind when you think of the semiconductor industry?
Curiosity. You have to be curious about what's happening on the market side, the technology, the supply chain. A lot of things happening in parallel in different fields, means application fields, automotive, servers, computers, whatever. A lot of things are happening at the device level, at the manufacturing level, and at different country level. So you have really to be aware that a lot of things could happen in Korea, in China, in US, in Europe, in Japan, in fields that are not so much known and that are really can impact the market. And this curiosity is super important, just to be open and understand things based on what you are seeing and what you understand from what you are seeing.
Awesome. A technology trend that you're personally most excited about right now?
Well, there is many, but photonics is really will change the semiconductor world, in fact, because the photonics, the ability to move what was in a box to a shoebox to a small package to integration on silicon or other substrate is really there. And this photonic integration and silicon photonic and everything around that is impacting the sensor industry. It's impacting the data center with the light coming step by step, very close to the device, to the processors, and certainly inside the processors in the next 5-10 years. So this photonic thing is really something that is developing in parallel to the electronics, the microelectronics, and the microphotonics is really something that will totally change the structure of the semiconductor industry.
Your most favorite report that you've ever worked on at Yole?
I think one of the topic that's really, well, in fact, sorry, there is two. And I have two stories on that. Really long time ago, an equipment makers came to us saying, okay, I have customers that want to make holes in wafers. We don't know why is needed, and we need to have a lot of developments around that. Can you evaluate the market of true silicon via?
Right. And
we started to look at that, and we discovered that 3D packaging was on the way. We discovered that there were a lot of different things. And by these questions I get from one of my customers, where I develop all the advanced packaging field. And advanced packaging is really fascinating in terms of evolution. And the second story also, we have worked for NASA on silicon carbide. And they were developing silicon carbide sensors, so MEMS sensors based on silicon carbide. And they were asking us, what's the market of that? Wow. And there were no business, because it was just for rockets. It was, 2,000 devices per year. But we understand the silicon carbide material. And based on that, we have been the first one to forecast the use of silicon carbide in electric vehicles. And by a mistake of NASA looking at development of MEMS on silicon carbide, and they stopped the project, we developed the silicon carbide evolution at Yole. And these two topics, advanced packaging and silicon carbide, are really fields where we have understood very early the impact of these technologies.
Wow. One semiconductor term people misuse that annoys you?
Oh, good question. Integration. integration, everybody think about integration at the silicon level. But integration is silicon, packaging, and substrate. And you have to understand that integration is happening at the 3 levels in parallel with, of course, interconnection, of course. But integration, it's a matter of 3 layers of development and not only integration at the silicon level.
Your favorite place to travel for work?
Japan. The Japanese people are so friendly, so open. They are customers that are supporting you, and it's really a pleasure to work with Japanese companies and Japanese people.
You should have been at our Japan summit last week. Anywhere.
Dimitrios was there so early.
Yeah, that is very true what you say. The most surprising thing you've learned from talking to executives worldwide?
This industry is driving really, really smart people.
Yeah.
And you have really persons that are able to understand where they stand, where they would like to do, and create the path to move that way. And I've been really impressed by either companies at the device level or related to the equipment business, for example, the ability at one point to say, okay, we are not in the good direction, let's change the focus of the company and then recreate everything. But recreating everything means billions of dollars of investment, means thousands, 10,000s of people to reorient to a new focus. And having these leadership capabilities, because it's people management, but it's also a lot of money, convincing investors, convincing customers. It's a heavy boat that you have to change in terms of direction, and you have few executives that have done that, and it's really, really impressive. And there are really key people in this industry that have both the technical understanding, the business and financial understanding, and the ability to manage the people to change direction. And there is really, really smart people in this industry.
That's a fact. It's one of the fortunes of being in this industry, rubbing shoulders with geniuses, without a doubt. A prediction you made early on that turned out to be right.
Well, we are the specialty of Yole is really to be able to understand the market from the technology evolution and the supply chain evolution. We have been right many times in terms of technology introduction. We have been wrong many times in the schedule of that. We have predicted the use of silicon carbide in electric vehicles 5 years before it happens. But it was evident that it was happening. But things takes time in this industry. Same for advanced packaging. Same for the use of 3D stacking for memory, HBM. Same for the evolution of GPU toward chiplets, and so on and so on. So our capability really to understand the technology impact on the market and understand what will happen in terms of, evolution, CapEx, investment, whatever is happening. But the timing of that is always very tricky because it can move very fast at one point because a Tesla company is deciding to have silicon carbide and then it's a scale immediately, or Hynix deciding to move to HBM and stacking of memory, and then things are just exploding. And the timing is complex, but our key capability is to understand technical changes and the ability to companies to put these technical changes in operation.
A prediction you made that you wish had been wrong?
Another point also, prices are always decreasing faster than we expect. When there is, this is the semiconductor industry. That means one thing, when you're entering volume production, then the prices are decreasing. But the prices are decreasing always faster than you expect. And it's always an issue because, you have to catch up and be able to make profit out of that. But, this is really something that we tell to customers, you have a prediction of price decrease, it will always be faster compared to what you're expecting.
JC, one company you think people should pay more attention to?
Oh, there is many. But you have... you have big companies, small companies. There is really a company that I like since very, very long time is equipment makers named EVG. EVG is working on very large volume, wafer bonding applications, but they have an engineering team that is working on all the new stuff coming from the industry, related to a new type of memories, related to new type of packaging, including photonics, working on the quantum computers and quantum chips related to that. And the EVGs, I don't know how big they are, a few hundreds of $1 million business, but it's a company that has really is always in front of the developments and supporting the customers with their equipment and engineering to make it happen. And it's really a company I like since a very long time. It's not listed, it's family owned, so there is no stock behind that. Yeah. So there is no problem related to that. But it's super innovative.
What's harder, forecasting markets or forecasting people?
Well, the two are connected because you to forecast markets, you need to understand the behavior of the companies, and the behavior in the companies is related to the behavior of the management and the top management of the company. So the two are correlated. It's super important to understand that. And you can forecast the market based on, the evolution of the mobile phone, the servers, whatever. But at one point, there is people that are making decisions. And you have to understand their behavior to understand how a market will evolve. And this part is tricky, but it's super important. And it's really, really correlated.
Biggest misconception about your group or your development?
Well, people say we are a market research company, and we are not. We are.
So I made a big mistake there.
No. Yes, we are providing market intelligence, but we are providing market research based on understanding of the supply chain and the technology changes, and it's totally different. So it's a mix of market research and strategy consulting, because our job is really to help our customer to understand the market growth or evolution. Could be growth, could be other things, but also how to be part of this business, taking into account the supply chain that is changing regularly, but also the technical changes. And this part is really the heart of our business. And of course, we are a market research, but based on understanding not only on the market, but on the related supply chain. And this is key in this semiconductor industry.
Absolutely. A habit or routine that keeps you productive?
Well, starting every day 5 o'clock and working on doing my emails and spending the 2 first hours of the day to do the emails I've not done the day before. And
I've got a week of emails to catch up early, right? You go.
Exactly. And when you are traveling, it's harder. Yeah. But it's really the work habit I have since a very long time, in order just to start the day by trying as much as possible to clean up the emails and everything that should have been done the day before. Then I'm restarting every day at 5 o'clock.
Every same. I'm at 5 o'clock in the morning. The thing is, if I don't wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I wake up maybe at 7, I miss my time, in my me time, because by 7 the kids are up, and then you have to go take them to school, and I don't know. A book you think every semiconductor leader should read?
Oh.
My book.
Your book is certainly the one that is the most
Game of chips. The game of chips there.
Well, no, here I don't know. Well, as I said, one of the key things here is curiosity. Yeah. And reading multiple things that can help you just to see the world in a different way is super important. So I have not a single book, but it's really, the curiosity is super important in this industry because you never know what could happen. Just take an example. You had 2 companies that were doing films for making photos, Kodak and Fujifilm. They were head-to-head competition long time ago, and their business just disappeared because of the emergence of CMOS image sensors and the transition from how do you say that? Well, chemical photos to digital photos. Kodak collapsed completely. Fujifilm is a huge company. Same problem, different approach. And Fujifilm strategic thinking was to say, okay, there is a problem. There is a technology that is just eating our business, our main business. How can we use our knowledge to redevelop our business. And they redeveloped their business mainly on chemicals, materials for the semiconductor industry, and they enlarged completely their portfolio of products compared to Kodak saying, okay, we are right. CMOS image sensors and all this digital imaging will never happen because it's crap. There is bad quality, which was right at that time. And they fight against that and they died. And curiosity and being able to have open mind is super important. And multiple books are important, but your one is certainly first on the top.
But what would you say from yours? I mean, let's say, for example, all right, let's put semiconductors aside. Is there a book that you highly recommend people to read out there? Is there a book that stands out that kind of changed your life, maybe, or like?
Well, it's I don't know if it changed my life, but it's a book that is so well written. It's a pure French writer, old writer named Flaubert, Salambo from Flaubert. When you're reading it, it's like flow of water. The words are so nicely put together, and the meaning of that is just so incredible. It's when you're reading that, it's like water flowing through around you. It's just incredible.
Love it. Cool. So, what's your go-to source for staying updated daily on the industry?
Well, talking with people, because what you can read provide you some information, but generally it's quite late compared to what's happening in the industry. And the only way to be able to be aware of what's happening is really to talk to people and talk to many people. So your events are perfect for that, and it's really the right level of people to be able to join, to discuss, and to interact. And then it's daily discussion. I don't know, every day I have discussion with 15, 20 different customers from different countries. So it's really what is super important.
If you weren't in semiconductors, JC, what field would you choose?
Advanced packaging. It's so fun.
But that's semiconductors.
Outside,
yeah.
Oh, yes. The food industry. Because it's providing the pleasure of eating good food to people is certainly something that is really great. I like cooking, and I like to eat also. So for the food industry is certainly something that is, of interest.
That's just being fresh.
Sorry about that. I should have said auto wine industry, but I prefer food.
Chiplet or monolithic? What excites you more for the future?
We were talking about that at the beginning. It's a matter of integration, and it's two different side of integrations. Chiplet is a way to do that and optimize a lot of different things. And on-chip integration and direct integration is something that is also another trend. So it's the two sides of the same thing.
One country the industry underestimates in the semiconductor race?
For me, it's Japan. There is more than 80% of the worldwide materials involved in semiconductor manufacturing is made from Japanese companies. They have a huge footprint in the industry, and nothing is going out of TSMC and any other companies without the Japanese companies. And generally, Japan is underestimated in terms of the ability to do R&D, to put things on the market, but they are really, really strong companies there.
Sure. What's the most underrated technology in the semiconductor ecosystem today?
There is a lot of different things that is, for me, where people are not paying too much attention. There is two topics on my side that are very important. The first one is new materials. There is a lot of new materials that are under development at the moment that could be very of strong interest. Isotopes of silicon. There is a big push toward quantum computing to use different type of silicon because of their properties. There is a big push also to be able to have a very complex material for compound semiconductors. So the material engineering, nobody talked about it, but it's something that is really, really the future of this industry, because both for heterogeneous integration and moving to 1 nanometer and so on, you need totally different materials. So it's something, well, everybody's talking about lithography, everybody's talking about design and so on, but materials is really a science that is in the heart of the semiconductor business.
What's a piece of advice you give often?
Well, look at what you are doing in a different way. That means a lot of CEOs and board are really looking at the industry in the same way, saying, okay, where are the markets that are growing? What are the key things that to be done, and so on and so on. But you have to look at this industry in a different way. There is a tremendous growth of the industry that is happening at the moment, because, and sorry, but the reason behind that is really the price increase. There is a super high price increase related to memory. The GPU, because of the monopoly of NVIDIA, are really, really high. But if you are looking at the real growth of the wafer start, it's very limited. So we are really in a bubble of explosion of the price of key products, which means it will go down. And when it will go down, then it's a key question. But 27, 28 will be really difficult years. Not because there will be a decrease of the production, there will be a decrease of the price. And at the moment, the price of the memory, DRAM and NAND are just moving to really through the roof. Same for the processors, the GPU, the CPU. But the landing will be really hard because it's not growing of the market, it's growing of the price.
That's a very interesting analysis there. A piece of advice you wish you had heard earlier in your career?
I think one of the things that is always the most complicated is work with the right people. And you have really, really to be careful to choose the person you are working with. And I think everybody's learning that
as they go
by doing. And well, it's something really that you are, from experience, you can just learn by implementing that. And choosing the people you are working, both in terms of inside the company, the person you are hiring, but also your customers or your suppliers, is really important. At the end of the day, it's not companies that are solving problems, it's people. And the people you have to work with are the ones that will help you or you will help them to solve problems. It's not companies. And having the right customers, the right suppliers, and the right persons inside your company is really key. This is the only way, not to, well, of course, to share the success, but solving the problem is just people that are putting together their mind and saying, okay, what can we do?
One thing you wish more people understood about market forecasting?
Well, it's not a science. It's something that you are learning step by step, and you have always things that are impacting the market. It could be external factors, COVID being an example, geopolitics, but also, and it's back to what we are saying, behavior of the persons. You have really companies that are behaving a certain way because the CEO or the board is behaving a certain way. And you have to understand that. And it's not rational. It's based on the feeling. It's based on the way the person understands the world. And this part has to be included into your market research, because at one point you have companies and people that are taking risk or not, jumping on new technologies or not, willing to work with certain companies or not, and this part is really shaping the structure of the market. The market is not an open business. That means there is, of course, business rules, but also you have people that are working together or not, and this part needs to be understood. Just an example. Tesla has chosen silicon carbide for their cars, and they were working from the beginning with ST Microelectronics, and it has been a huge business for ST Microelectronics. And everybody said, well, there is a big partnership between Tesla and ST Microelectronics on the silicon carbide devices. And yes, but relationship started 10, 15 years before with SpaceX, because ST is manufacturing the RF devices for SpaceX, for the satellite. And this has been a painful process to develop that for SpaceX because they have very specific requests. And SpaceX and ST learn how to work together, solve problems together, and build a very strong partnership. And then they work for Tesla. But the origin of the work has been the work done between SpaceX and ST. And that kind of things are very important to understand. Solving problems together helps to continue to work even in a different environment.
What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day of meetings?
Swimming.
Swimming?
Yes, I'm trying to moving to place always where I can swim, either on public school or in the sea here in Oman.
A technology that looked like hype, but proved real.
Well, there is here also there is several things that are, for me, that are super interesting, but time is needed. We are talking about quantum computing. Quantum computing will be really a major evolution of this quantum or of this computing world, but we are 15 years behind that. That means there is still 15 years in front of us before having something. So hype has been very strong. It's decreasing a little bit at the moment, but the value of quantum computing will really happen. But it will happen, 2035, 2040, not in the next 5 years. So time is needed to implement such technology to the market, but it's super important.
If you could describe the future of the semiconductor industry in one word, what would it be?
Fragmented. It's fragmented because of the technology, because of the supply chain, because of the geopolitics. And it's, I don't know if it's good or bad. Well, it's good for a market research company because because you have to integrate, or customers are working with us because it's so fragmented. They have complexity to understand everything at the different layer of the industry or the geopolitics of whatever is happening. So it's good for us, but it's really a fragmented market.
Well, that's the rapid fire round done. Thank you for that, JC. Very, very well done. Let's go deep in the discussion now. I would wonder to learn from you your career in the semiconductor industry. So you said you were a microelectronics engineer. You did marketing at CA Leti. What made you say, I'm going to start Yole? What was the frustration that you had?
Frustration was really linked by the ability of customers just to focus on market growth and not understand what is behind that. And working at Leti was very interesting for me because I was working on R&D team, helping them to focus on applications where the developments could be applied and where market was important, but also time to market related to the technology, how to put that into production, who can produce the technology. And this part, in fact, was very innovative at that time. And we continue to do that at Yole. And it's really the part that makes me very happy every morning to work starting at 5 o'clock, because the way this industry is moving it's providing things that are, I think, very important. You have really key elements of this semiconductor industry that is moving to medical applications, that are moving to things that are helping people to live, in fact. And it's super important. And being able to help this industry to grow, to develop, to find a way from technologies to supply chain, to markets, and so on, I think is beneficial for the industry, but for the people. That's all. Because you need a lot of different things that are developed by this industry are really very impactful to health, but also to the way we are living.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing is how we indirectly, we're not actually fabricating anything, but we are having an impact in helping the fabrication happen.
And making links with people. And this is what you are doing with your events and with all your different activities is super important. because sometimes you have really people that do not know each other, and where the bonding is happening, ideas are coming out, and then business, and then new things that are emerging on the market. But again, at the origin of all of that, it's people trusting each other, willing to discuss, willing to share, willing to discuss problems and how to solve together problems. And what you are doing with your events, what we are doing with our analysis and helping making connection between the supply chain markets and so on, is really exactly what is needed in the industry. Of course, they need investment, they need CapEx, they need technologies and so on, but they need people to be connected and having the right way to discuss and interact on the right things.
Correct. Generosity of knowledge is exactly. And then you've got curiosity, of course. Your career spans both semiconductor engineering and, of course, strategic business leadership. Which role or experience had the most significant impact on shaping your leadership style today, JC?
Well, it's something that we're still doing, but really when I created Yole, most of our customers were startup. And helping companies to move from an idea to a product, to get the funding, find the first customer, then be able to grow is really something that is so great and so rewarding in terms of both the relationship you have with the people, but also the success behind that. There is really one company we have helped from, we have contributed to their success. Is maybe you know the company. It's Tronics Microsystems.
Tronics, yeah, MEMS company, yes,
French MEMS company. Where the guy who created this company, Stéphane Renard,
TDK bought them.
Yes. But we created the company almost at the same time that I've created Yole. And we have really worked together on the first round of financing, the first building the manufacturing capabilities, finding the way to the financial market and make an IPO, find the first customers, and then at the end, sell the company. And it has been a 15 years journey in order to help them grow from a business, from an idea to a sale that has been really good. And it's so rewarding to be able to be just part of that kind of process, but it's really great.
I think there is a very special relationship, JC, when you are with someone at the beginning of everything and you work with them until success. There's a very, very special bond.
Exactly.
That is irreplaceable.
Yeah, exactly. And what is really interesting, it's the way at one point how people can solve problems. Yeah. Because having problems in this industry is just the day-to-day activity. Right. But being able to find people that you can call saying, okay, I have a problem, can you help me? And be able to discuss, and then you have a light that is just on your mind saying, okay, yes, I get a solution. And then you move forward, and so on and so on. And being able to follow both a team and a company during a 15 years time frame, from really the creation to selling the company with a great success, well, it's so nice. So nice.
When I first started this initiative, maybe it's the most hardest thing I've pretty much done my whole life. And entering the semiconductor industry at the beginning, as I refer it as a mafia. And this mafia is a very hard community to break into. And one of the frustrations that I had throughout this career is that because of this very close-knit community, and the challenge to break through into this community, for example, especially from the leadership level point of view, I was kind of scratching my head saying to myself, I came into the game too late. And over certain periods of time, you build this trust, you build this relationship with people, and then gradually you enter this mafia to an extent. And the reason why I refer it to that perspective is because by the time we entered the industry in 2010, the industry was already established. Remember, that was the period where the inflection point of the iPhones came into play in heavy. And we just came in right after. So, it was like You're too late to the game. You're not welcome. But one of the beautiful experiences in this market is innovation doesn't stop. And we had the fortune to be able to support companies who were also startups that were just coming in. And we're seeing it regularly now. There's more startups coming into the game. And, one of the best examples I have similar to yours is a Dutch company called Trimax. We really helped Trimax penetrate the market in Asia, and supporting him in that initiative and helping them as much as I can with whatever capability I had has led them to get acquired now by a Singaporean company called Accurian. And when I heard that news, because I know the owners, the two owners, very, very well, it gave me a real sense of pride and joy and satisfaction. And we've seen this happen in regular times. When people say to me, what is this, your success metric? For me, and I presume you're seeing it as well in terms of a longevity point of view, it's, the money's good, but it's not the thing that gets me out of my bed. It's seeing the success stories of people that have helped me and I've managed to help. It's a scratch my back, scratch yours business. That for me is the success metric. I used to have, now we have, up to 500 members now, going up even more. That sensation at the beginning, if we only had like 10 members, was a remarkable feeling. It was like, oh, it feels good, right? Now, I don't have that sensation of going, oh, this is amazing. Oh, wow, another member. As much as I appreciate all the members, what I appreciate now is the process to help those members, especially the startups, even the big ones, use success metrics that they can bridge to the work that we do. How do you see that with your experience with Yole?
Well, it's success of the companies, but success of the people. I have the same feeling compared to you saying, well, when you are helping a company to move from one stage to another one step to another one, and what it was painful, but they did it, and you have been part of that. It's really rewarding in terms of, okay, it's a real success. And I totally agree with you. It's not the money that drives me in this business. It's really the impact you can provide. But the other things also where I'm really, really proud is that I have many customers that are been working with me 20 years ago. They moved to another company and we were working together. They moved to another company and so on and so on. And we have customers that we are following, persons that we are following in the last 20 years. I think it's their 15th company. And they're still working with us and working with us on equipment, materials, on device, on multiple different things. But it's great. That means there is a value on what we are delivering to them, which is based on what we are doing, but also the relationship we have created. And for me, this relationship is really first the heart of the business and the most rewarding things. That means when they have a problem, they call you. That means they think we can help them. And well, sometimes we can, other times we cannot. We are not. I don't have a magic wand. But that means there is a trust established that they trust you enough to speak about the problem and how we can help them. And this part for me, it makes me really happy. And every morning at 5 o'clock, I'm looking at my emails and there is guys I know since a very long time that send me an email saying, oh, can we talk? I have something to discuss with you. That means, okay, there is a problem and we can jump on it and see how we can contribute to solving the problem. And this part is really, really makes me super happy.
Yeah. There's just no better feeling like that, isn't it? So as CEO and president of Yole Group today, you're overseeing intelligence, consulting, media, and corporate finance. Which specific area do you see the significant growth for Yole?
Well, there is Yole has been recreated, and it was my push to look at power device, MEMS, advanced packaging, equipment, front-end equipment, back-end equipment, test, and so on. So really having a silo approach, saying, okay, let's understand the semiconductor business from the point of view of each part of it and going really deep into each part of it. And for the first time next year, 2026, we'll publish on a quarterly basis an analysis of all the semiconductor market. And it's what we call a semiconductor device monitor. And well, it's a big push for us because many companies are doing that. So you have the Gartners, the IDC, Omdia, and so on that are publishing that kind of market data since a very long time. But we are the only one that is really taking into account supply chain and technology. And I think we'll provide a look at this business from the units, the dollar, the wafers, the capex behind that is quite new. And well, I hope it will be a big impact. And this part is super exciting for us. This movement toward this semiconductor device monitor is really something that we'll launch in Q1 26, and it makes me very happy. The other point that is making me super happy is that we are a market research company, but with almost $15 million investment in a clean room and a lab to make reverse engineering, tear down reverse engineering and reverse costing. And we were doing that on mobile phones, parts from automotive, cars on ADAS, inverters, front lighting, whatever needs to be teared down and where there is a value. And we have moved to do that for servers for AI data centers. So we have opened the Blackwell. We are doing the same for AMD. We are moving to optical transducer, having very complex systems that we are buying to break them and to open them and see how it is working. We are doing that for humanoid robotics. And we have bought several humanoid robotics to test them, and we have a partner that is able to test them in terms of real functions, and we are doing all the teardown behind that. It's super exciting. It's really fun. Well, we are buying a Blackwell at $350,000 a piece to break it. So the CEO, when you sign the order saying, "I come and we buy it just to break it," it's difficult. But okay, you have to do it. Yes, be careful.
Well, I would wonder how you feel, JC. So I don't think you see this. I run. In fact, if we look at since 2010, how many conferences I have done, how many summits, how many conferences I've visited, hundreds of conferences I've visited. And I'm not kidding you. 90% of the presentations I've seen, there's always one Yole slide.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Have you realized that?
Well,
do you realize that?
I realize that, but in a different way. We are tracking the articles and publications in general that are using our data on a daily basis. And we have more than 1,000 per week that are using our data.
Wow.
1,000 per week. And I've not compared that to others. Maybe it's small, but for me, it's great. That means there is many people that are using our data or graph. We are trying to make very graphical analysis in their publication. Could be scientific publication, could be publication in business magazines and so on and so on. And this is for me a way to evaluate the level of value we are providing to our customers. So it's good.
Every time every event that we do around the globe, nearly every presentation, I am not kidding you. The first slide is the introduction slide. The second slide is a Yole market forecast slide. It's good. It's remarkable. The semiconductor industry, of course, is undergoing major shifts across AI, automotive, advanced packaging, and power electronics. Which technology domain, maybe that I've missed out, or the ones that I've mentioned, do you currently see as the number one biggest game changer?
Well, of course, AI, GPU, memory around that is very important. But the bottleneck at the moment for the AI server and data center expansion, it's not memory, it's not processors, it's power. It's power management and reducing the power that these data centers are using. Because, if you are implementing if you're looking at all the decisions that have been made in terms of investments related to data centers from the customers of NVIDIA, OpenAI, but also Meta and all these companies, well, you starting 27, you will need 10, 15 new nuclear power plants worldwide to support that. That means it will not happen. And you have to change the power management into the data centers because they are so power hungry that the limitation of the expansion of the data centers is not the technology, is the power consumption. And which means already the servers, taking NVIDIA, but also the other server manufacturers, are changing the way they are managing the power. They are moving to optics, light compared to electrons in order to be able to lower the consumption and be able to bring the information to the data center inside the server, inside the boards, inside the chip using light. And this part, the very simple things that, data centers are too much power hungry. And you need to decrease that, means that you have a roadmap of 15 years of technical development to support that. And this is a key trend. This is a key trend because AI is here to last and to impact your life in a very strong way in the last 10, 15 years, like internet has done a long time ago. But it's not sustainable the way it's done at the moment. So you have to change that. And the main thing you have to change is the power consumption.
So if we look at the chiplet architectures, and as you mentioned, heterogeneous integration is accelerating today, what do you see as the biggest opportunities? And also maybe you could mention about the challenges associated with this transition.
Well, biggest opportunity is really linked to advanced packaging. Designing chips and chiplet is complex because you have really to design chips that can work together even if they are not on the same silicon. But putting that together with the right functionalities, ability to be tested and so on is really the job of packaging and advanced packaging. And this is the part that is for me the most excited related to chiplet. Putting together devices that could be just digital devices, but also heterogeneous integration. It's all about integration at the packaging level, packaging and substrate.
And of course, we're seeing that chips are becoming more complex, more interconnected. How does Yole ensure its analytical frameworks are evolving to keep pace with the movement of this industry that we're in?
This is the tier learn and the reverse engineering we are doing. Because every time that we see technical trends or technology to be implemented in volume production, we are trying to find the phone, the car, the server, whatever is using that, the AR glasses, whatever is using that in order to have proof of implementation in volume production and also understand the way it's produced and the manufacturing cost. And this is a very important way to be sure that things are moving on and that there is a real implementation of technology on the market and its potential impact. Because technology implementation is one thing, having the supply chain to support that is super important, but also the cost structure. If you look at, we are talking about silicon carbide wafers were $2,000, $3,000 each 3 years ago, and it's down now below $400. And such decrease is because there is an increase of the competition, there is an increase of the market, but understand the cost structure today and the future cost structure of the device is the only way to be able to understand the evolution of a market. Because by decreasing the price, you are able to increase the volume. It's the history of semiconductor device is really about that. And increasing volume means being able to put an infrastructure and supply chain in place to support that. And this is really the heart of this evolution of the market.
What do you think is more, so based on what you just said right now, which one needs more priority in terms of, is it the innovation or the economies of scale?
Well, it's for me, it's the same. Innovation, you cannot be in this business without innovation, and you need to have innovation. But the only way to put your innovation into the market and make it successful is the economy of scale. Its economy of scale is a way to increase the market size. Innovation is the way to stay on the market. So it's two things that are different, but are super important. We have worked with so many companies that had great things in their hands, but at the end of the day, it was not manufacturable, or it was too expensive, and the way to be able to decrease the cost was not possible. So you have to meet the economical equations, but the first thing that is happening is innovation.
So given that we're talking about innovation, you've got so much global competition in semiconductors in any field. In my side of the game, with the events, summits, associations, with the reports world, I think there's like little boutique shops opening nearly every week these days. Even in the industry and equipment manufacturing, material manufacturing, how does Yole stay ahead in terms of innovation analysis and long-term strategic foresight? I mean, you mentioned that you guys have a clean room now and you're doing reverse engineering. At the end of the day, you can have the best clean room in the world, the best reverse engineering initiative in the world, but it requires people. How are you finding that at the moment?
Well, it's finding the right people, and finding people and the right people is, as I was saying, is the most complicated things. And it's the most complicated things in the industry at the moment, because there's really, really a shortage of skill, technicians, operators, engineers, and in fact also managers and corporate managers. So this part is just very complex. We are 160 full-time employees, so something like that. I think we are close to 40 different nationalities. And the job, we have our own hiring team at Yole, and their job is really to find the right person in terms of skills, but also behavior. And we have French people.
It's France.
It happens. Yeah. But we have US, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Taiwanese. We have people from Colombia, from Brazil. We have people from Austria. We have even German people. And it's the key point behind that is that you have to be super diversified to find the right people. And you have to have really a dedicated team for that, because it's the most complex things. Really the most complex things. And I think we have offices in 10, 11 countries now.
Wow.
Because of that. Because you need to have the right guys, the right person for the right job. And we have teams in Malaysia, we have teams in Singapore, we have teams in multiple countries, not because we want to be in Malaysia or in Singapore, because we find the right persons there.
I see. And can you discuss any recent or upcoming initiatives or partnerships that you're working in or working on?
Well, we are working a lot on the digitalization of our products, because we came from a report business, which was a PDF, and the main initiative now is to be able to have the data, but also the analysis directly available to our customers without going to a 200 pages report. And we are working since quite a long time on that, and we'll release new things next year and the year after. And it's a big challenge, because it's a shift, very important shift, but also it's super fun, because it's working with AI tools, is being able to having something really an interface that can help you to get access directly to the data and what you are asking, without going through multiple reports, multiple publication that we have done. So it's fun. It's complex.
Yeah, so you could do, basically you ask a question and you just say, right, show me this X, Y, Z on the report, and it just comes up for you.
Yeah, and it will be up and running next year. And it's really, really fun.
That's smart. JC, what key challenges do you foresee in the semiconductor industry facing over the next 5 to 10 years? I mean, this can be either technical, economic, or you can even go sensitive and say geopolitical.
Well, the big thing that is happening is this China being step by step disconnected to the other part of the world, or at least trying to be disconnected. It's both very important business opportunities for us, but also for the industrial companies. But it's also a quite very important challenge, because what is interesting behind that is that Chinese companies are trying to do the things differently compared to what is done outside of China, because they don't have access to the right lithography tools, they don't have access to the right materials, they don't have access to the EDA tools that are needed, and so on. So they are developing their own way to do advanced chips, but also all other type of developments. So it's this part is very challenging because it's really complex in terms of strategy for the main players, but it's also super interesting to understand the way Chinese companies are changing the way you're developing semiconductor devices, with the importance of chiplets, of integration, not at the silicon level, but at the packaging, at the substrate level. So they are doing the things very differently. And this part is both a very big challenge for everybody, but also very interesting, evolution to look at.
Does that give you like frustration? I mean, do you see that with regards to because I can tell you right now from the geopolitical issues that have happened between China and the US, forced us as a company to scale. And contrarily, China's semiconductor ecosystem has been accelerated very, very fast from a self-sufficiency point of view. How has all this geopolitical matters impacted your business?
Well, it impacted our business positively because we are not American, we are not Chinese, we are French, so we are able to work with the customers. We are willing to work with us, and we are willing to work with them. So it impacts us very positively. The bad impact is that, not the bad impact, but maybe the way Europe understands its business in semiconductor, for me, is a very strong frustration because Europe, both the companies but also the politicians are presenting Europe saying, okay, we are very weak in semiconductors. We have 7% of the device market. We have no packaging in the industry. The industry is very weak. And yes, industry at the device level in Europe is very weak, but in terms of equipment, 30%, 32% of the equipment market worldwide is related to European companies. ASML, ASMI, multiple organizations that are really doing very good equipment in Europe. But the strongest part of Europe is related to the subsystems, the vacuum pumps, the air generators, all these things that are part of the equipment. I think European companies have more than 45, 46% of the worldwide market. There is no single equipment in the world, front-end, back-end test, that is not using European subparts. And it's super powerful. It's a very important market. I think we have identified 2,000 companies in Europe that are like that. So you have big guys, but you have also a lot of SMEs, a lot of technology, a lot of innovation behind that. And this part is so huge, so important for the whole industry. And one of my key frustration at the moment is that European officials, both companies but also politicians, are presenting Europe saying, okay, we are weak in the semiconductor business. And it's wrong. We are very strong in equipment and subsystems. And yes, we are weak in devices. But instead of bringing to Europe a 2-nanometer fab, which is a nonsense, pushing these companies, these 2,000 companies, in order to be 3,000 in the next 5 years, or to hire all of them 100 people because they are expanding their business worldwide. It's a huge impact in terms of economical impact for Europe. And we are discussing with multiple level of the nations and the European level to be able to push that, saying, Europe is super successful in equipment and subsystems, and we have to push that. And the frustration is really coming by the fact that they are looking at what is wrong, not looking at what is good, in fact.
All right. With all this data, that you have, JC, surely the lobbyists should be on your backside. They must be jumping you, grabbing you by the neck from all different nations and etc. How is that a reality? Is that happening? Are lobbyists reaching out to you? And
there is the fun part, and there is the part that you have to be careful with. Yeah. The fun part is that regularly I get phone calls from customers saying, okay, you have to open this phone and look at this device. And while open the phone and look at this device, because a lot of device makers have NDA agreement with their customers, so they cannot tell they are part of the last Samsung, Oppo, Vivo, Apple phone, and they are using us to say, oh, Yole in their teardown has discovered that we are part of the Apple supply chain. And so they can communicate on that. And so that kind of lobbying is so fun because it's really, really, it's power, it's super powerful. But it's also fun because really you get phone calls, say, oh, please open the phone and tell what you have discovered. Yeah. And it's really, really the fun part of this. It's part of lobbying, okay? But it's positive lobbying, let's say like that. And concerning more the negative part, yes, we get always pressure about companies, labs, organization, let's say like that, because say, well, you have to be careful because this part is really super important, and you have to highlight that. And I'm very strong against that, saying, okay, we have our opinion, and opinion is our opinion. We may be right, we may be wrong, but it's our opinion, and I have the arguments to push that kind of opinion. Several time ago, we have customers that came back to us saying, okay, your analysis that you have done are totally wrong. I said, okay. It was a very large company. And the CEO reached me. I tell him, well, let's discuss, and then we can try to understand where we are wrong. And he explained me why we are wrong. And I said, no, we have a different opinion. So you have your strategic opinion about where the market is going. We have ours, and yes, it's different. But maybe curiosity is important. And maybe we have arguments that can help you to have a better understanding of what's happening. And maybe I'm wrong, but maybe you are wrong. It's just a matter of opinion, what could happen in the next 5 to 10 years. And nobody knows what will happen in the next 5 to 10 years. So being very strong, in our job, we have to be extremely strong against that kind of pressure, saying, okay, it's our opinion. But we have to be very open-minded. When we are wrong, we tell it.
Right.
Every report we are publishing since the beginning of Yole, every report is starting with a slide saying, okay, what we get right, what we get wrong. And we are making the comparison compared to the last edition of the report in order to make very clear what we get, what we don't get. And it's something that I've really asked every analyst, every product we have released in the last 28 years to be very clear that, yes, we do good things, but we have missed also key elements. And it's just normal. And you have to do that. And this is part of this protection against pressure. We have our opinion. We may be wrong, but we may be right. And it's up to us to be sure that we make very visible where we have been right, where we have been wrong. And it helps us to avoid that kind of pressure. But this pressure is happening daily.
Is that Semiconductor CEO still a customer of yours?
Yes, because the discussion was hard, let's say like that. We decided not to work together, and then he realized that what we bring in terms of value is an opinion, and there's a value behind that, and so he's back as a customer.
If you don't mind me asking, have you ever had situations whereby a certain nation governments have said to you, stop sharing information to another country or to another company?
We have that.
Just like equipment manufacturers have it now. Certain equipment cannot be sold to a certain country. Do you have that with your reports?
We have that. Well, it's related. It's geopolitics. Is Russia, and the war between Russia and Ukraine, where we had to stop the business with Russian companies, and it has been the decision of the French government. So we have to.
So they told you that you are not allowed to sell. So that's how important your reports are.
Yeah.
The one that is as you got a call from the French government that told you can't sell your reports to Russia.
Yeah, and this is the decision of the French government. We have to apply that. So yes, we have that kind of thing. Or we are also in our business. Sometimes we are exposed to confidential information, even if we don't want. And it's extremely important to keep confidential information confidential. And I have multiple stories, but I cannot tell that here. But I have really, really credible stories. But at one point, we are discovering something. But come on, it's super confidential. So we have to shut our mouths, not to publish anything on that. And it's very important because it's the trust of the customers that they have on you. And this part is really also very important rules within Yole. We are just publishing or analysis based on the data that is available freely by companies, what they have published, not by information we can gather through non-official channel of information. Super important. But we have good stories behind that. Next podcast.
Next podcast, please. Yeah, next podcast. You need to write a book as well. So from that perspective then, JC, like how do global geopolitical shifts, or let's say supply chain pressures, as we've seen over the past couple of years, maybe even sustainability requirements as well, influence your perspectives on the industry's future?
Well, we are part of our job, and the job of the 100 analysts of Yole is really to understand where are the bottlenecks in the supply chain, what are the issues. One thing is important is that the sustainability is something that will become step by step much more important. It's not that much important at the moment. Nobody cares about sustainability of the.
It's not like before 3-4 years ago.
Oh, it was big topic,
Big topic. Now nobody cares anymore. Yeah.
But it will come back because even power consumption, we are talking about power consumption. It's a huge problem. So there is, you have really, in my work and the work of one, it's really to take into account all these different aspects, understand where are the bottlenecks. And I was talking with a official in the government in the Southeast Asia, because they were willing to implement huge infrastructure in terms of productions, back-end, front-end in their country for semiconductor manufacturing. But I asked them, how many graduates do you have from your universities related to that? And there were too few people. It was not possible. It was not matching that. And they had not realized that. So it's understanding the bottlenecks, understanding where are the issues, including people and skilled people, is part of our work. This industry is based on money, technology, equipment, materials, and so on, and people. And you have to understand all of that to understand the bottleneck of this industry. And people is starting to be a huge bottleneck at the moment. There is not enough skilled people at all levels of the industry to implement what has been done. It's a big issue in US. It's a big issue in China. It's a big issue in Japan. It's a big issue in Malaysia. It's a big issue in the Philippines. All countries have big issues at the moment, same in Europe, because you don't have enough skilled people. And it takes time to have them.
As a French leader in a global market, how do you view France's current position in the semiconductor ecosystem?
Well, it's very weak, but France has other industries that are quite strong. But semiconductor business in France, you have ST, Franco-Italian company, you have Soitec, you have few other companies that have some position on that, but it's very weak. But it has never been really the focus of the French industry to be strong in that market. There is because there is a huge industry in the food industry is really big in France, but not talking about that. Talking about industrial airplanes, with Airbus is a very big industry. You have a huge industry related to electronic materials with Schneider Electric and few other companies. You have extremely big leaders in Europe, in France, in industrial activities. Not talking about luxe, not talking about anything related to food, but you have really big companies that have been really in the heart of the evolution of the industry worldwide. And these companies are very strong and getting stronger. So what is really important, take another example, in the glass industry, Essilor-Luxottica, it's a French-Italian company that are making glasses, okay, for correction. And this they are the world leader on that. And so it's a great industry. There are a lot of optical engineers that have been graduated that moved to Essilor because they need that. And so this industry is very, very strong. What's happening at the moment is that the French government and this industry understand that the evolution of their business is related to semiconductor, because power management, and Schneider Electric is doing just power management, is related to power devices. Airbus major projects are linked to electric planes, and electric planes mean battery management, and inverters and power devices. EssilorLuxottica future is based on the connected glasses they have developed with Meta and its photonics, micro displays, optical waveguide, and laser. And it's different. And so there is a weak industry in Europe linked to semiconductor compared to the weight of the industrial business in France. But there is a step-by-step, very important change in the mind of the big industrial companies in France, saying, well, our future is based on semiconductor, part of our future, but the part that is very important. And the changes related to the government and the investment of the government in this industry is coming also from that. Is saying that, well, today it's weak, but these semiconductor devices are really in the next journey of all the big major companies in France. And well, it's changing step by step the focus on that.
But as you can see, a lot of nations now want a piece of semiconductors. It's amazing to see how France, with a very strong education system, application end users, but they're not going into the semiconductor ecosystem that strong. Why do you think that is? I mean, surely it's the most important industry now in the world. Why wouldn't France want to have a piece of it? Germany has got a very strong semiconductor ecosystem. A little country called Holland has a very strong ecosystem. Belgium is home to the #1 research institute in the world. What's the deal with France? Or
I think there is, especially for the graduate, there is a lot of other opportunities on that. I think focus has been on different industry. There is, I think, the last statistic I've seen, there is 250,000 French people in the Silicon Valley working in the semiconductor industry.
No way. 250,000 people working in the Bay Area.
Yes, it's huge. It's huge. So I think France has its way of working, and the business environment is quite different compared to what you can find in the Silicon Valley. Well, Silicon Valley is really one of a kind worldwide. But there is a lot of people that move outside of France to countries like that. The CEO of ASML is a French guy. So there is a lot of French people that move out of France to be able to find business and business opportunities. But it's not in France.
Yeah, why? It's very. I never pondered on that until now, until this discussion. Okay, outside of France, what strategic actions do you think, JC, must Europe prioritize to strengthen competitiveness and reduce dependency in critical semiconductor segments globally?
Well, I think Europe has to realize that, Europe will never be strong in AI. There is no GPU, CPU companies in Europe. There is no memory companies in Europe. There is one substrate makers, very strong company, ATNS. So they have really to realize that, they will not be strong on that. But Europe has to understand that they are extremely strong in power electronics. ST, Infineon, together they have maybe 30%, 35% of market share of power devices worldwide, and the most innovative companies. They have to realize that Europe is extremely strong in optics and photonics, and have really a lot of good companies behind that. I was mentioning the equipment subsystems. Europe has to understand that the country, Europe, is really the leader for equipment and equipment subsystems.
It's one of a kind, nothing like it. JC Eloy, thank you for joining us on the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast. An absolute pleasure and honor. We have to do another podcast. Without a pleasure, we got to get back on it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining to the Semiconductor Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Salah Nasri. And remember, it takes a village to raise a chip and subscribers to raise a podcast. Click that subscribe button. If you enjoyed the show, click share it out there. If you want to connect with JC Eloy, you can contact him here on his LinkedIn profile over here. Or if you want to get direct information about Yole development, you can actually click on the link below right here and get access to their website and find all the information, market reports, careers, the whole shebang. via that link. So thank you for joining us. And again, keep innovating. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Take care. Bye for now.